You might have heard something in the news about an impeachment inquiry. Turns out all that's fake news. There's not an impeachment inquiry going on. There is a coup happening before our very eyes, according to the most trustworthy sources I can find, including Donald Trump. So he tweeted this: as I learn more and more each day, which he totally does, I am coming to the conclusion that what is taking place is not impeachment, it is a coup intended to take away the power of the people, their vote, their freedoms, their Second Amendment, religion, military, border wall, and their God-given rights as a citizen of the United States of America. So first of all, who taught him coup? Come on, you can't just leave words around. You know he's gonna use them irresponsibly. And so he is attempting to pretend that the very careful, slow, it took way too long to get to here, implementation of a provision in the Constitution is the same thing as a bunch of people with assault rifles walking into the White House and dragging him away.
Well, considering the people who support him probably were gung-ho for that anytime anyone else is in office, I think it's a little bit ironic. But let's look at I know yesterday on the Young Turks we actually defined what the word is that they're trying to say and gave them the real meaning. So a coup is a sudden, violent, and illegal seizure of power from a government. This is a track record again for Donald Trump in saying anything that comes after or violates him, from him violating his business ties before when he came in office, to his tax returns, to all the legal things he does. If anybody criticizes him, he calls that critical of the government and of America.
That's true.
You are not America. You are not the citizenry. You're one guy who's in office who can be taken out of office, or he can be discovered to be doing illegal things and then be taken out of office. That's not taking America out of office. You are not the form of government. That is dictatorial kind of talk. If you're the government, you alone, and all your interests as the government, that means that's only you.
Yeah.
He's admitting it right there.
And you gave a definition that had 3 characteristics. I'll go super easy on them. Let's say if one applies, it's a coup. So is it sudden? No, it's taking way too long. Way too long, years too long. Is it violent? No, there's been no violence. Is it illegal? Nope, it's constitutional. It's the definition of constitutional because it's in the Constitution. So you've got some issues there, but I jokingly asked who taught him coup, but we already know who taught him coup. Take a look at this mashup that our producer Sophie put together.
This is nothing less than an attempted coup d'etat and end run around the ballot box. And I see all these polls out there. Here's like the poll question. Maybe Fox can do a poll on this. It's to the American people. Should the impeachment process be used to depose a duly elected president when they can't beat him at the ballot box?
I think everybody who is concerned about what's going on should drop the word impeach or impeachment. This is not an impeachment process. This is a coup d'etat.
Well, I think they're going to try to impeach him, and every time you hear the word impeachment, you have to substitute the word coup, and the coup needs to be shut down. The Senate should say there's going to be no trial.
Well, that's an administrative coup d'etat. I mean, it's not overstatement to say that's what it is.
I want to know if Adam Schiff, the Democrat staffers, or any Democrats were involved in orchestrating this leak and coup campaign.
Understand this is a coup attempt.
That one was concise. So thank you, Sophie, for putting that together. Media Matters, by the way, has collected far more of these, but we have a time limit. So that's what we had. That's where this is coming from. They're just drilling in coup, 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 coup over and over, and obvious about it. Not even saying this is a coup. Like, what's his face, Tom Fitton or whatever, was like, every time you hear the word impeachment, you should substitute coup, and Hannity says, good idea. You're just admitting that that's a strategy. That's not an acknowledgement of any reality.
Remember last week when the talking points in the White House, it was accidentally sent to a Democrat or someone who wasn't on the list to actually repeat your talking points. And then I'm not sure how they denied that, but all you have to do is say no. This is, again, it illustrates it openly. Send out the word, everyone say it. And then even with the messaging, so your messaging blitz is being fleshed out on television. So again, like you said, when Hannity was talking to me, he goes, hey, that's a good idea. Not because that's true, not because, yeah, this is what it is. Yeah, that's a good idea, let's say that. Because it's better for the empty-minded people that we can say this to. Let's throw these words out there so they can start repeating it to their friends at Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, and look, we're focusing a lot on Fox News recently because this is, as we'll get into later on the show, this is his defense effectively. Rudy Giuliani turning out not to be super effective, and so Fox News is the ones. Here's the thing, you're allowed to attempt to impeach the president. You are, doesn't mean that in every case it seems justified, but you're allowed to do that. It's in the Constitution, and I would say that if you're going to attempt to pitch an impeachment attempt as the duly elected president being deposed, this is the worst one to try to apply that to, considering that in 2016 he didn't win the popular vote, and that in 2018 he got his butt whooped. The idea that this is overthrowing the will of the voters who weren't with him initially and were more against him the second time, that is a very interesting, weird sort of like projection, like trying to flip reality on its head. But while it's completely inaccurate, that does not mean it's not effective for Donald Trump. Yep. And not just in terms of bulking up his approval numbers amongst his base, but possibly getting the civil war that he has been talking about so much. So take a look at a couple of the people who are really eager to tote an AR-15 in defense of the president. One of the Oath Keepers militia Twitter account posted, "We are on the verge of a hot civil war, like in 1859. That's where we are, and the right has zero trust or respect for anything the left is doing. We see them as illegitimate too. Trump supporters will not accept the results of a successful impeachment as legitimate, even though it is, again, the very definition of constitutional. They will not accept it as legitimate. So what will they do?" We have a member of the 3%ers, that's another one of these bizarre militia things, supposedly made up of members of the police and the armed forces, put up a video saying, "At the end of the day, Mr. President, just know that if they try some illegal move to remove you from the presidency, all you have to do is come out on Twitter or national media and call us to arms. And we will show the world once again that America has the largest freestanding army with weapons and firepower that they can't even begin to fathom. You will have an army at your side at a moment's notice, Mr. President. All you have to do is say the word." So they're saying, if Donald Trump decides that American democracy is no longer in style, they are desperate to be told to begin killing their neighbors. Like, just go on Twitter, tell us to begin shooting, and this American experiment is done. I don't know what percentage of his followers that is. I don't know if it's 100 people, if it's 10,000 people, if it's 1 million people, but they're desperate to end American democracy.
It's crazy, we keep talking about how, America's military was depleted, it was dragging on the ground, our economy was garbage. Then I came into office and next thing I know, everything is awesome. We've got invisible jets, we've got more tanks, we got more guns, we got more this. And he talks about how he spent all these trillions of dollars on the military, which he did. So the theys that they keep talking about in the Oath Keepers, if they try some illegal move, you'll have an army at your side at a moment's notice. Against who?
Yeah.
So again, if there's some kind of coup, who's the uprising? Is it against the American military, or is the American military Donald Trump's military now? Which one is it? Who are you fighting against?
Yeah.
Are you fighting against these invisible effing jets? Because you're not gonna win that battle. Because we just talked about how we just put trillions into making sure anybody who has any kind of uprising against our American military will destroy you. How's that gonna work out for you?
Yeah, and look, honestly, I feel bad for any member of the police or the military that's watching this, like knowing that there are people around you who they're just like frothing at the mouth to murder you to overthrow American democracy. That's what they're saying. I don't have a gun. I'm not the one they're gonna be fighting against. They're gonna be trying to kill members of the American armed forces. That's a weird take for patriots.
Crazy, support the troops
exactly.
all over again.
And here's the thing, he talked about civil war on Twitter, he talked about it being a coup on Twitter. So if he did, I don't think it's gonna happen, but if he did want to start some sort of, like we're done with the Constitution, we're done with the American government, it would be on Twitter, he would tweet it. And it's the reason that Kamala Harris posted, "Hey Jack, time to do something about this," referencing his tweet. Now, many people have pointed out that this is an attempt to get attention to her campaign or whatever. I'm sure that is a part of it, certainly. But the idea that the president would use social media, like first of all, democracies have been overthrown. Do you believe that if there had been Twitter and Facebook back then, the fascists wouldn't have used it to try to rally their supporters? We can say it's unlikely, but we can't say that it's unreasonable or that it's unrealistic. And so when I see people respond to things like what Kamala Harris said, not just as this seems politically opportunistic, but with things like Nate Silver tweeted, "Hey Jack, as a journalist, I think Trump's tweets are extremely newsworthy. And I'm happy that you've given the president of the United States a platform to communicate in a direct and unfiltered way with the public." Here's the thing, should Trump be taken off Twitter? I don't know. I think that there are costs to him being on it, and there are costs that Nate Silver doesn't pay, that Donald Trump doesn't pay, but we can have a debate about that. But the idea that Trump would never or could never do anything violent over social media, that is blissfully naive. And so it makes sense that Nate Silver would be the avatar for that position.
There's a lot of things that are newsworthy. Hey, the foot soldier for Trump that decided to go and try and murder journalists. and went on that rampage. And if he posted all of his things on Facebook and Twitter, hey, that's newsworthy. We looked into it all. Doesn't mean it's helpful. It's two different things. It can totally be newsworthy. People throwing out death threats and saying, I'm gonna go attack the president. I think you might think that's newsworthy too, but I don't think you want that spread so easily.
I think so. No, no. Nate Silver, he's got the Biden thing, both in that he probably supports Biden, but also this idea that like we're in a crazy time, but we're almost out of it, and everything is going to go back to the great way it was. It probably won't, and it wasn't. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.